This is a quarter. Q-U-A-R-T-E-R. Quarter. It's worth how much? Do you know? 25 cents. This is the most valuable coin we've seen so far. It's quite large and it's silver, like the nickel and the dime were. This coin has a picture of one of the presidents of the United States. This one is George Washington. But George Washington wasn't always on the quarter. When the coins were first made by the U.S. Mint, they wanted to make sure that there weren't any real people on the coins. When the United States was just starting out, they didn't want to be like the other countries that had kings and queens on their coins. They wanted instead the coins to be all about freedom and strength. And so they all pictured a lady with long flowing hair, and she was a symbol of liberty. In fact, they asked George Washington if he could be on the coins, and he said no. Let's learn a little bit more about George Washington. A fun fact about George Washington is that he was the very first president of the United States. And you know what's interesting? He didn't want to get paid for the job. He was so excited to help the country that he didn't feel like he should be paid. He felt it was his duty to serve and lead the country. However, that didn't happen because Congress thought it was so important to set a precedent that the President of the United States always got paid for his work. Do you know why they did that? It was to make sure that even people who didn't have a lot of money could work the job, that they could still pay their bills, that they could feed their families, even if they were working for the government. And so it became very important that the president and all of the other people in Congress got paid for their work so that anyone could work these jobs, not just the very wealthy. Now, George Washington didn't want to accept the money, so it's rumored that he donated quite a bit of it back to the country. There have only been 3 other presidents that have done something similar. Those 3 presidents were all very wealthy, and so they decided to donate either all or some of their salary to charity. Those 3 presidents were Herbert Hoover, John Kennedy, and Donald Trump. When George Washington was president, he got paid $25,000 a year. Today, the president makes about $400,000 a year. Now let's take a look at the back of the quarter. This is where things get really interesting because you know what? The back of the quarter is always changing. Originally, the back of the quarter featured a picture of a bald eagle. That's because the bald eagle is the national bird. But the quarter is the coin that changes the most. And although there are many quarters out there that do feature the bald eagle, every year the U.S. Mint, where they print the coins, issues new quarters with different people and pictures on the back. Most of those are linked to a specific state. Should we take a look at all the different quarters? To learn about all of these different quarters, I'm going to recruit the help of some of my friends, Penny and Nick. They're going to take us through all 50 states because each state has its own quarter. In fact, each state has 2 different quarters. One of them features something iconic, something that they are known for. The other one features a special, beautiful location in that state. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. California, Colorado, Connecticut. California, Colorado, Connecticut. Delaware, District of Columbia, and Florida. And Georgia. Delaware, District Colombia, and Florida, and Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, and Indiana. Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, and Indiana. Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana. Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana. Next we get to the M's. Are you ready? There's so many. Here we go. Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, and Nevada. Nebraska and Nevada. New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York. New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York. North Carolina, North Dakota, North Carolina, North Dakota. Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon. Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon. Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina. Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina. South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas. South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas. Utah, Vermont, Virginia. Utah, Vermont, Virginia. Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. And don't forget the territories. American Samoa and Guam. There's Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Whew. That was a lot of quarters to go through. Next time that you see a quarter, you should see if you can find which state or territory your coin represents. This year, the quarters don't represent states, but instead they represent prominent women in United States history. These are just some of the American women that have been featured on the quarter in the last few years.